to strap in and get ready. The leaders in NRL SuperCoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Matrix, and Whisperer.
Yes, g'day guys. Welcome back to the Insight NRL Show. I'm the SuperCoach Brain, joined by the SuperCoach Matrix and the SuperCoach Whisperer. Boys, we've got a big announcement tonight, and I'm pretty excited to talk about it. Matrix, you played a lot in one of these tournaments last year. How did you end up going in the SuperCoach World Cup?
Look, I struggled a little bit. I did really well in my preferred sports. Really struggled in AFL. And dropped off on BBL, but I feel like I dropped off on BBL because I was kind of out of the equation by the time AFL finished. But yeah, I suppose that's the thing with it. If you know your sports, or you only need to, listen to the shows on one sport, you can really, really carry when it comes to the World Cup. Hey?
Yeah, that's right. What a fantastic endorsement for how to play the World Cup from Matrix there. Josh, how did you end up going, mate?
I didn't go well in any sport, preferred or non-preferred. It was a capitulation. But new year, new World Cup. But we're not here to talk about the World Cup, are we, Brent?
No, we're not. We're not. There's a new competition coming your way for you NRL degenerates out there like us. Obviously, we thought, you know what, the World Cup was great, and the World Cup will be back again in 25-26, so you can jump in the Discord if you want to get involved in the World Cup. But for you NRL players out there, if you think you know your rugby league, you think you know your NRL, we're putting together the ultimate NRL fantasy competition, I guess you can call it. But we haven't come up with a name, Josh, have we?
We have not. We are not overly creative experts, the three of us. So that's why we're putting it on you guys. The ultimate NRL fantasy competition is here. NRL Fantasy, SuperCoach, Dream Team, and Mixer. The only thing missing, though, is a really catchy name. Now, entry for this is going to be $25. However, if you want to have that come down to $0, give us a really good name and we'll pick the best. You get free entry as well. So all four competitions, this episode is going to explain how it works, the scoring between all four of them, and how you can get involved, and how to take down it all and have ultimate glory.
That's it. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. Obviously whoever takes this out is going to be, I guess, what you could call the king or queen of NRL fantasy. So we're going to combine all four of your rankings within the leagues that we create. So we'll create a league in every single format. Obviously, you'll have to enter that league, and we'll track the league's progress and the players in that league. And if you can average the highest rank within those four leagues, you'll take out the competition and take out the cash. So, like Josh said, $25 entry. But if you want to give us a name, then you can get in for free. So get involved. Let us know in the comments.
If you also want it cheaper than $25, we are going to give you a $5 discount if you do sign up to the Insight Patreon. Nathan, hit the stinger.
Oh, shit. I was not prepared for that.
Want to take your SuperCoach game to the next level? Insight Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as weekly expert Q&As, team, trade, and captaincy advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
In my defense there, you've hit the stinger twice the last two episodes. I was not ready for that at all.
I didn't have it prepared. But yeah, as we said, entry for this very prestigious tournament is $25. If you give us a cracking name and we pick it, it'll be free. But if you want to get it for $20, sign up for the Patreon. I think it's like 30 cents a day. So it's very, very well worth it. You get access to all three of us. That's probably not worth 30 cents a day to have access to me, but
you can get a beer selfie every day from me.
The entry for this as well.
One caveat I really liked about this one, it was probably where I was heading when I was talking about the World Cup, was at least you can watch one sport. And then in this episode, we're going to let you know how to, I suppose, the difference between each sport. Because somebody like let me think of a really good example. yeah, somebody like an Alex Johnston might score well in SuperCoach and then not in fantasy, or and then some of the lesser known ones that we're going to mention in this one, Bunny Mixer, very similar or the same as fantasy. Yeah, we're going to point out where you should add guys at different points, or girls. It'll be good.
The beauty of Mixer is, boys, we can add Hamiso and Jamie Chapman at the same time. Nothing, you can't do that in any other format. So, or you can also add Adam Elliott and Millie Elliott. So you can just have a Mixer couples team.
Oh, I don't know where that was going, but anyway, that's the premise is there. It's good. I like it. Obviously, with the formats being different, the whole episode today is designed not only to promote the competition coming up, but to give you an idea on how you can win it and how to understand the different scoring across the formats. Now, obviously, there's 3 out of the 4 formats that are different scoring. So understanding exactly how much a try is worth in each format is going to be very important. SuperCoach, Dream Team, and Fantasy have very different scoring, but Fantasy and Mixer, thankfully, have exactly the same scoring. The only difference with Mixer Matrix is that you have to pick 3 males and 3 females. So you've got to clue up a little bit on your NRLW.
Yeah, and you've just got to add Georgia Hale every week. There's my hot tip.
Taxes Georgia Hale.
She was so good for me last year. I love it because it's on some really good times. The NRLW. If you've got kids, you can watch it earlier. It saves me from having to put the AFL on the TV. It's sensational.
Also, we know just how much playing SuperCoach gives us knowledge and excitement to watch the Dragons versus the Titans at 4 p.m. on a Sunday. Playing Mixer allows you to immerse yourself in the NRLW space, and it's fantastic. Obviously, there's not 16, 17 teams, so it's a much more condensed competition as well. But we'll go over Mixer. We'll go over the fact that it's not a full season either, so you don't have to commit to that long. Differences in fantasy, the difference in Dream Team, kick meters, offloads, everything like that. We have a really nice graphic put together for all 4 formats as well.
Yeah, speaking of the graphic, we'll bring it up in a sec, but I guess there's a few things to take from that. Before we jump into it, today's episode is brought to you by The Standard Squeeze, helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. If you want to grab yourself a 4-in-1 or a combo pack, go to thestandardsqueeze.com, use the code IFS15 to get 15% off your order over on The Standard Squeeze. Thanks for their support. Now, boys, let's bring the graphic up on the screen. For everybody watching on YouTube, you'll see it up there. For anybody on audio, we'll do our best to talk you through it. Now, you'll notice there's 3 different formats there. Just a reminder, Fantasy and Mixer scoring is exactly the same. They use the Fantasy scoring method. But as you can see, boys, on the screen, there is a lot more going on in the SuperCoach column, isn't there, Josh? There's a lot more things you can be scored on.
Yeah, wow. I mean, take out run meters and kick meters, and that's about it. But there is much, much more. Try contributions, missed field goals, kick and regather, which I think I've seen scored maybe 3 times in my history of playing SuperCoach. Hit-ups over 8 meters, hit-ups under 8 meters, of course. Held up in goal, intercept, and kick goes dead. None of those that I've mentioned are scored over on Fantasy or Dream Team. And the only differences with those ones are the fact that you do get run meters and kick meters in those 2 formats. But it's not just that simple, boys, because the run meters and kick meters also differ. 1 point per 7 meters in Dream Team and 1 point per 30 meters kick meters for Dream Team compared to 10 meters and 20 meters for Fantasy. And there's one more little difference there as well in Fantasy. You can see the 1 point there for a kick defusal. So your fullbacks and your wingers that are really good under the high ball, they get targeted a lot. Definitely rack up 5, 6, 7 points a game by getting a couple of kick diffusers on the 5th tackle as well.
Matrix, what's the big difference for you when you go from, you play both formats, obviously, you play Fantasy, play SuperCoach. What are you looking at? What are the main differences in terms of player trades that you're looking at across these 2 formats?
Yeah, as somebody that spends a fair bit of time on NRL SuperCoach stats, I'm always looking for base for that consistency in SuperCoach. And the base is just rewarded so much better. Is it rewarded so much better? Maybe not, but maybe just by not allowing a try to be worth 8 and 17. Well, of course you're going to chase an Alex Johnson in his prime or, a Dom Young that's on an absolute tear. But in Fantasy, you're completely fine to, put your captain on your Payne Haas or your Isaiah Yeo, something that I would very rarely do in SuperCoach. So, yeah, I suppose it's those base stat beasts. I start to look at the front row forwards, as those second row forwards that make a lot of tackles, as those 80-minute hookers. that don't have that attacking flair start to become a bit more relevant in fantasy. And like, I really love watching a guy like Cam McInnes play. Quite often, exciting for fantasy. Not even an ad in Supercoach. So.
Yeah, it's one of those games where like you have two very, very different tactics across both games, fantasy and Supercoach. You're looking at, your base stat guys and your tackle bots for the most part who will go and make 40 tackles. But Josh, you get really heavily penalized in fantasy, don't you, for the negative stats?
Yeah, missed tackles, penalties, errors, they're all huge deterrents. I think a big thing there as well in the scoring that we didn't really touch on. If we work back to that graphic, we can see that a simple catch and put down, boys, in the corner, it's only worth, 8 points for a try, 4 points for a line. That's only worth 12 points in fantasy. In Dream Team, it's worth 17. But in Supercoach, you're getting 17 points just for the try alone. We know the catch and put downs are worth a line break as well. And you also get the couple of tackle busts as well. So a Supercoach try can be worth up to 31 points compared to fantasy, where it's only worth 12. So as Matrix was saying about chasing those guys with the more consistency in other platforms, guys like Isaiah Yeo, guys like Mitch Barnett, Payne Haas, they're much more safe. And then you obviously add in kick meters as well. Boys, it wasn't a couple of years ago that we had Jamal Fogarty pretty much the entire season because he was the sole half at the Raiders and kicked for about 4,000 meters a game and just racked up points galore.
Yeah, it's your halfbacks that are the kickers. And we've talked a lot about the fact that Jerome Luai might be walking into some more kick meters this year, which is where the relevance comes from in fantasy. But you're also looking at your middles. I think for the most part, we also haven't talked about the position changes yet, which we will do. But for your middles, Isaiah Yeo was the equal highest point scorer in the game last year, correct me if I'm wrong, tied with Cleary.
Him and Cleary.
And then obviously Payne Haas is just a lock and load in fantasy most years just because of the minutes and the amount of base stats that he provides. So, yeah, you can pretty much reliably put your captaincy on a middle nearly every week in fantasy. You can't really do that in Supercoach because there's minimal upside over in that platform.
No, and you mentioned player positions, and the beauty, I guess, is they're all quite simple. You've got Supercoach and Dream Team, which are the exact same format. You've got your one hooker, you got your two front row forwards, your 3 2RFs, your halfback, your 5'8", your 4 center wings, your fullback, and your flex. That is translated across both Supercoach and Dream Team. And then in Fantasy and Mixer, it's just as simple. Mixer is just one of every position, which is hooker, middle. So that's, I guess, a bit of a difference, boys. There's no 2RF or front row forward. It's just middle, which is your locks and your props. Then you have edge. Then you have half. Half is just combined. There's no split between 5'8" and halfback. You have center and wing fullback as well. So a couple of differences there, but to keep it really simple, Dream Team and Supercoach are the exact same, Mixer and Fantasy are the exact same.
Yeah, that's right. So, and for me, the reason I've played both over the years, and a lot of people say, oh, well, one platform's crap, I love the other platform. Of course, you're going to have your preferences. But for me, the reason I've played both is because they're so vastly different. You're targeting different players in one platform. You've got different positions in another. You might go, and you mentioned we spoke off air before we started this episode. Marky Mark, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. No, it's not going to happen. But he is 350K in fantasy, but 440K in Supercoach. So the prices don't necessarily correlate either.
He's also wing fullback in fantasy and he's center wing in Supercoach. So you're picking him in different positions there as well. I think it's worth noting as well, Supercoach, Dream Team, and Fantasy are all salary cap games where you pick your team for round one and you manage your salary cap from basically the season out. Whereas Mixer, it is, I believe it's 6 or 7 weeks, boys. It's not a long stint, and you pick a side every week as well. So you can jump on those girls that are performing really well, or the guys like DCE, for example. We know that he goes on hot streaks as well. Matt Burton's another one. These guys that, if you can just pick them up in the right time, then fantastic as well. So 3 of the games are salary cap games, and one of them is week to week, but the week to week is not a whole season as well.
And Matrix, the beauty of it is that Supercoach doesn't go into the finals, but Mixer actually does.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I actually really enjoyed my run in Mixer last year.
It's something to watch during the finals.
Oh, yeah, it does. I haven't actually played Dream Team before, so I'm pretty excited this year. I just saw Dylan Lucas was the second most expensive center in Dream Team.
It's funny. It's kind of like a happy medium, strange, weird medium in terms of point scoring. Like when you're looking at the tries scored, obviously it's 12 compared to 17 Supercoach, 8 for fantasy. It doesn't necessarily reward attacking stats as much as Supercoach, but it definitely does more than fantasy does. So, and it also involves like fantasy scoring methods in terms of run meters, kick meters. You get 1 per every 7 meters. So your props and things like that are getting your players like that are getting 200, 220 run meters are really heavily rewarded in Dream Team, as opposed to potentially SuperCoach where they're just getting that hit up over 8 meters or under 8 meters. So it's very, I suppose the way that you would approach it would be very tactical in terms of the way that you build your squad. And the one thing I did find last year playing Dream Team, it's only my second year playing Dream Team last year, was that obviously a lot less players play. So it's bloody tough to get up the rankings when you've only got 4,000 people playing. So a big challenge, but I did find that I had a lot more depth in my squad just based on the player prices in comparison to my SuperCoach platform as well. Josh, what do you think, tips for success for anybody entering this competition, how they're best managing the next 8-9 months?
You've got to separate it. You can't look at it from one lens. You can't pick your dream team because you like a player for SuperCoach. You can't pick your fantasy team because you like a player for SuperCoach. I don't know about you boys. I know, Matrix, you haven't finished your dream team yet, but Brainer, you have finished all 3. All 3 of my teams look very, very different. They all have very, very different players, which is great because instead of having mental anguish over 17 blokes, I'm now having mental anguish over about 60, and it's makes for every outcome of a game a bit eventful one.
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? You're kind of like, well, I have Isaiah Yeo in fantasy and Dream Team because obviously he's a beast in that platform, but I hope he goes really poor in SuperCoach. And it creates this issue where you're going for the same player.
Or like you pod a player in SuperCoach, you anti-pod them in like Dream Team. So it's a lose-lose if they score.
Yeah, very mixed emotions throughout those games, Matrix.
Yeah, you guys were talking about your favorite formats earlier. My favorite format is whichever one I'm winning in. So I like to pick some very different teams in there, and that's fun. Like it might give you, somebody to root for when you're struggling in another one as well. Or I do think, like, I agree with what you said, Josh, about treating it very differently, and you have to. But I think a cheapie is still a cheapie across all formats, and that's probably the one thing that you try not to outthink the room. It's kind of like I do it in NBA fantasy a fair bit. Like you go to add a guy that you expect to be on the waiver wire, and you might play points leagues, and you might play category leagues, and you might play leagues where send-offs are actually worth plus 15 points and all this stuff. But you see somebody that's going to get decent minutes and going to be out there playing, you get him out there for bench depth.
If Charlie Guymer's named round 1, I don't care what he averages across all 3 formats. He's picked in all 3 formats. But you're right, a cheapie is a cheapie. But your tactical nuance really comes down to where you're picking those different kind of players. If you're looking at a Jack Howarth more in fantasy compared to say a SuperCoach, because we know that he racks up 160 so run meters, which isn't scored in SuperCoach. So it's about having a broad look at things. I think it's going to be really interesting. Our goal, obviously, is to deliver the best SuperCoach content from now until the end of the season. But our goal is to also increase player bases across formats that we love, because we're not experts in Dream Team or Mixer or Fantasy. To call us experts in SuperCoach is a bit of a stretch as well, but we enjoy playing these games. We enjoy making content around them, and we want to, I guess, give that joy to other people and to experience it, and take away that barrier, boys, of, I can only play Fantasy or I can only play SuperCoach, and if you play the other, then you're a homophobic slur. Then, like, we want to take that stigma away from being able to diversify your fantasy interests.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very deep. That was good.
No, I just say it because I remember, like, I did my AFL team reveal over on the Insight channel, and I put it up on my Instagram. People go watch it, and everyone's like, "Oh, AFL's gay." I'm like, "Oh, sweet, man, cool." Like, if that helps you see right, then by all means. And I know people. We saw it in our fantasy team reveal. Some people in the comments like, "Oh, fantasy shit. Why would you play it?" Because we enjoy playing it. That's the fact of the matter is we enjoy it. And we want you guys to enjoy it.
Because I enjoy NRL.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, we love the game. We all watch the Dragons versus the Titans at 4 p.m. We want something to watch it about, though.
Yeah, that's right. And look, you know what? If you take nothing else from this, the beauty of playing different formats is you can own different players. If you don't have the balls or you don't have the funds to go and buy Keanu Keeney and you fucking love him and you think he's a great pod, but you just don't think it's viable for SuperCoach, go and buy him in fantasy.
Dream Baller.
Dream Baller. Yeah, we did see a fantasy team reveal from one Matrix over here that had Dream Baller in his team round 1. So that nearly could have been in your spicy hot takes episode that we recorded earlier as well.
Oh, I just had to get behind my boy Luai because, I think he's gonna have a ripping year.
It's going to be good fun. But guys, if you want to get involved in this ultimate fantasy NRL fantasy competition where it combines 4 formats into one, you can get in for free by giving us the best name. We'll be voting on the best name, and if you come up with the name and you basically get the founding rights of the name, you get free entry. And of course, if you want to join otherwise and you're not as creative, just like us, because we're asking other people, join the Discord, join the Insight Fantasy Sports Discord. It is in the description below. There will be a channel inside the Discord called the Ultimate NRL Fantasy Competition, and you'll see all the details in there and how to enter and how to get involved. I'm really looking forward to this. We'll definitely see who's coming out on top and who knows their NRL boys.
Absolutely. And just a reminder, $25 to enter, $20 if you are a current Patreon member. Even that can just be for the month as well. We'd love to have you, and $25 the rest, and $0 if you can come up with a great name, because we are stumped.
That's it. Matrix, any final words, mate?
I'm just excited to own Luke Metcalf in 4 formats.
And you can do that. That is the beauty of it. If you love a player, you can get him in all 4 formats. Guys, hopefully you get involved. Hopefully you love all the formats as much as we do. It's going to be an awesome year. We're looking forward to watching plenty of rugby league. The trials are coming up very soon as well, as plenty more SuperCoach and fantasy content coming your way. So stay tuned and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. We'll catch you for the next one. See you later.
Cheerio.